Greetings! In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at setting up a points-based grade system in your gradebook. Now, there are a couple things you're going to want to do before you get started. The first is to make sure you've either run your setup wizard or in your settings and you've set the basics of your book up as a points-based system. The second is to make sure you are indeed in your grades tool and in the manage grades column, because that's where we are going to build the majority of our book. And lastly, have a copy of your syllabus. Now, this is obviously a very basic syllabus, but have a copy of your syllabus available so that you can refer back to it as you build your book so that you know the appropriate point values and all that good thing. Now, there are a couple organizational structures that you will use within your gradebook, and they are items and categories. Now, items are the only thing on which you can actually add a grade to. In this example, it'd be like the assignments or the quizzes here or this midterm or final. You can see that there are points associated with each of these objects. Now, the other thing with an item is you can also associate it or refer it back to one of the other tools, either your assignment tool or your quiz tool, and so the points will be entered automatically into your gradebook as you do your grading. The other aspect are categories, and categories are essentially organizational tools that you'll use to structure your gradebook so that you can set groups of point values or what have you. Essentially, it'll help the students see better how they're being assessed and how they're being graded. So let's see what this looks like. The first thing we'll do is go to this new tab and we'll start with a new category. And you'll want to give it a name. And what we'll do is we'll sort of walk through this first one rather slowly and talk about each of the tools that are available here, and then we'll go a little bit more quickly as we get through to look at the really important things. The first thing you'll want to do is give it a name, and as we had seen in our example, I'm going to use that assignment name, assignment, so I can make sure I had that S. And then this bar right here is a short name. Now perhaps the name of your category or your item would be long so that it's clear what a student is being assessed on. A short name is something that you could give to the same item so that it takes a little less space in your grade books. And I'll show you what that looks like when we get to that point. In this instance, a short name won't be necessary. Essentially, you could put a description here so that you know what this category is, what it means. You could share that with your students if you wanted to. And as far as the grading of this item is concerned, this can exceed button. Now, essentially, when you put items in the category, as we've got here, you can see there's a total of 50 points. Now, in the instance that I gave the students an opportunity to earn, say, 11 out of 10 points on each of these items, in essence, their total here could go to 55 points. Now, if I wanted to stop it at 50 points, I could do so by not checking that button. But if I wanted the students to have those total points carry throughout their entire grade, I'd want to make sure that I check that can exceed column so that indeed those extra points that I had given them on the quizzes would show up. In this instance, I don't think we'll need it, so we'll move on. This button here is exclude from the final grade calculation. Now perhaps you want to put a category in your book where you want to track that students hand certain things in. Perhaps it's like a lab safety protocol form or something along those lines, but you don't necessarily want to give point value to it. So if you put a category with those types of items in it, you could then exclude this from the total point calculation, and then it would not figure into the total points. And if you ever have any need a reminder of what these tools mean, these little question marks can be very handy. If you click on those, you can see what each of those different categories mean. And when you're done here, you can click OK. This other item here is distribution above points, and this can be kind of handy. Say you, instead of, as I have it here, just have 5 items in here for a total of 50 points. Perhaps you have 6 items that you want to put in here, and then you're going to drop the lowest ones. So perhaps, give the students the ability to get rid of a bad grade. And you still want to keep that value at 50 points, but they had 6 items. this distribution point here, if you fix the points per item, and that's an important thing to remember, that every item in this category, every grade item in this category would need to be the same number of points. In this instance, we could make it 10, and then here you can choose to drop 1 or 2 of the lowest grades or the highest grades, which you have that option available to you. So you would just put the number of items that you wanted to drop, and it would do it for you. But again, the important thing is that all items in this category would need to be the same point value. It's not really necessary for what I'm doing in this example, so we'll move on. These other 2 items are exactly what they show. The student view here is you could show averages for these items if you chose to. And this last one here is this override button will override the options you choose when you were setting up either in your settings or your wizard, so you could control how students see each individual category in this case, and they're also available in the grade item. I'm not going to override anything, so I'll uncheck that, and then when I am done, I'll click Save and Close. And you can see we have our first assignment or our first category created. Now we're going to put items, our assignments 1, 2, 3, and 4, into that category. So next you will go to New, and you're going to choose Item. The first thing you're going to do is choose a grade item type. Like 90% of the time, it is probably going to be numeric, and essentially that means you will enter in some sort of numeric total for that grade. There are other options here, which we'll discuss in another video, so that we don't get too bogged down in this process. So we will click numeric, and we will give this item a name, and we had decided it was assignment number 1. Not necessarily going to need a short time, but I will show you what that looks like in the gradebook. So we'll call this A1. And then here we are choosing a category. Now remember, we created that assignments category, so if we click this drop down, we can see that it's right here. We can click that assignment tool, and assignment 1 will be added to that category. Again, you have the description of how many points is this worth. Now, in the gradebook, it's going to be worth 10 points. So again, referring back to my syllabus here, it's worth 10 points, so I'll see that. There were no bonus points. Now, one other option here that is not in the category is bonus. And essentially what that means when you check this is that these points will not be figured into the total points available, but this item would in true be a bonus. So the 10 points in this instance would totally be added onto the overall grade, so into the overall grade. So a student would have the opportunity to make up points, and there may be some specialized situations where you create bonus assignments for the students so that they could hand those in. And then again, you've got the exclude from final grade. The grade schemes, those are different ways that you can represent a grade. A grade scheme could be anything from an A through F, or a different points-based system. But remember, you need to build these individually. The default scheme in all of Brightspace is a percentage, so that visual representation of your grades will be percented. But you can see here I have a couple others built into this course, so I could choose from one of those if I wanted to. But again, our basic selection here is going to be percentage, so that students will get a clear understanding of what they have. You can add rubrics from the rubric tools, and we'll go details of that in another video. And then again, you have these options here to change the student view, or again, your managing view, and that is going to be your view only. So these two items, the student view and the managing view, could look a little different. And then once you have that all set, you'll press Save and Close. And then again, you can see assignment 1 right here. So again, we'll just go one more time, go to a new item. We're going to choose numeric. This will be assignment 2. I'm not going to use a short name. We'll give it a category, again, assignments. and we'll keep the same point value. Don't need any of those other boxes, and I'll push save and close. And you can see that we have that assignment built in here. Now, through the magic of video, I will go through setting up these other 5 assignments that I have here rather quickly. Okay, as you can see here, I have created my assignments, but I did make one small error. I did make assignment 1, assignment 2. I listed I got assignment 2 in there twice. So essentially, want you to let you know that you can edit these at any time. So here, I'm just going to go into assignment, go to edit, and correct my typo, and save and close. And essentially, you can see that correction is there, and then I can move on with the rest of my gradebook. So again, looking back at my syllabus, I want to go on to quizzes. So I am going to go to New, Category, and we'll create quizzes. Won't need a short name. Everything else is going to pretty much hold true as far as points, and I'll click Save and Close. And we have the quizzes category go. And then we had 2 items in there. So the first one is going to be, again, numeric, and it is going to be quiz 1 worth 15 points. So I'm going to go to quiz 1, put it in the category of my quizzes, and here I'm going to change this point value to 15 points. There are no bonus points in anything, so I'm going to continue on, save and close. And I've got my first quiz in there. Again, one more, new item. I'm going to choose numeric, and this is going to be quiz 2. And I want to double check that point value on quiz 2, which is 20 points. So I am going to put it into my quizzes category and make this 20 points as opposed to 10. And no bonus questions and so forth, so save and close. And you can see here that my book is starting to come together. I've got my 35 total points for my quizzes, my 50 total points for my assignments, and we'll continue on. Now, in my example here, I've got 2 grade items that don't have a category. I've got a midterm and a final. There's no need to put them in an additional category. If you want to do a test category, I suppose you could, but you can make them individual items. So what I would do then is I am just going to move up to the top, go to a new item, and again, it's going to be numeric, and it's going to be midterm, and it does not have a category, so I'll leave that at none. And remembering that point value, it's going to be 15 points of my total points available in my course. I will put all that in, save and close. And then last and not least, I'm going to put in my final, a new item. Again, it will be numeric. It is going to be the final. No category again. Check my point value. It is going to be 20 points. No bonuses and so forth. Keep my grade scheme the same. And save and close. And then what I'm going to do here is just compare, make sure here is my syllabus. I can see all that. I can see I've got my 5 categories, 50 points. I've got my quizzes and 35 points, how each of those break down, and my midterm and my final. And you can see here that all these items that add up into this total point structure sit all the way to the left in my manage gradebook item here. So you can see here the midterm and a final, this 20 and these 15 points figure into this 120, and then plus 35 and plus 50. So I've got 50, 85, 100, 120 points. These items, which are indented here a little bit, only fit into the category. Okay, so this 20 and 15 here are part of this 35 and not part of this entire total. So just kind of a visual piece that you want to sort of pay attention to as you're creating your book. And then I'll briefly mention it here, but there is one tool that, say you want to make some adjustments to certain aspects of this book without going into each and every individual item. There is a really handy tool here called the bulk edit tool. And I will check the items on which I might want to make some changes to, and then I go to the bulk edit. And you can see here, I can change short names. I could, add them here if I decided my columns were too long, what have you. I've got some, I can change the max points. I can change these of my bonus and can't exceed, and then also, my grade schemes. I can look at those too, and what category they are in. So perhaps I made a mistake and wanted to quickly change this category. I could do so here in several of these items if I chose to. And again, a quick way to change short names in that. And then once you save those changes, they will show up in your book and in your grade book. And like I said, when you go back to your enter grades now, it's where you'll be putting in a lot of your information. You can see that all these items under my assignments category are right here. And you can see how those short names I added in become the predominant number here, as opposed to this full assignment that were listed here. And if we scroll along, we can see our entire grade book. Here's our quizzes, and then our midterm and final. And then students, I had set my book up so students could see their final grade, and that will be what they'll be able to see once we start entering in some grades. So that's a basic setup. Now, if you have any questions about this, or have some items that are a little bit more complex, or we want to address some of the other types of items that we could put in there, like drop boxes and so forth, feel free to reach out to us at cetlune.edu. Be well and have a great day.